Welcome to NFL Nexus. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and hey, consider becoming a channel member today to support the work we do here. All right, you are watching our latest explainer, and today, we're diving deep into the Bears' secondary master plan. Look, everything in the NFL can change in a matter of seconds, right? Or, in this specific case, a matter of a single, frustrating medical report. We are looking at a situation brewing in Chicago that honestly has the sheer power to completely derail an entire season before it even gets off the ground. So, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what actually happens to a franchise's championship hopes when their absolute most vital defensive puzzle piece just shatters? You know, an NFL defense, it's not just a collection of guys running around. It's this fragile, living, breathing ecosystem. Think of it like a giant Jenga tower, and every single player out there is a load-bearing block. When you go in and pull out a premier cornerback from that modern defensive architecture, the whole structure starts to wobble. It's compromised. Your pass rush, suddenly they have way less time to get home. Your safeties, they're forced to overcompensate, dropping their depth, creeping up, and suddenly the deep third of the field is left completely wide open. The linebackers get stretched totally thin across the middle. You can literally feel the panic start to set in on the sideline. And for the Chicago Bears, look, this isn't some theoretical whiteboard nightmare. It is a harsh, recurring reality, and it all centers around one specific guy.
To really grasp the gravity of this whole situation, we've got to establish the massive stakes here. It is an undeniable fact that the Chicago Bears are a vastly, almost unrecognizably superior football team when Kyler Gordon is on the field. That's just reality. And it's the exact reason the front office didn't hesitate to hand him a sizable extension last offseason. They elevated him into that incredibly rare air of the highest paid nickelbacks in the entire league. Because let's be honest, playing the slot in today's NFL, it is arguably the hardest assignment on the gridiron, period. It requires what we call two-way go coverage. See, an outside corner, they get to use the sideline as an extra defender, right? But the nickel is on an island in the middle of absolute chaos. He has no boundary to protect him. He's got to defend the quick inside slant, the vertical seam up the middle, the outside out route, and oh, by the way, he has to instantly fit into the run defense like he's a 240-pound linebacker. Even his own position coach, Cannon Matthews, hit the nail on the head. He said, and I quote, "I don't know that you ever replace the skill set that Kyler brings. The athleticism is unmatched in this league." Unmatched! Coaches don't just throw that word around lightly. He is literally the ultimate eraser in the slot. But, as we all know, the absolute best ability in professional football is availability.
Which brings us to the breaking news that absolutely sent a chill through the Windy City. Brad Biggs over at the Chicago Tribune reported it, and man, the gravity of it is heavy. Kyler Gordon is dealing with another soft tissue injury right as the team is entering OTAs. Think about that. Before the pads even come on, before team drills even officially begin, this unseen threat has already struck the facility. It's not like he took a violent collision over the middle. It's not a broken bone where you can just put a cast on it, look at a calendar, and circle a return date. No, it's the quiet, lingering, infuriating ghost of a soft tissue setback that's keeping him completely out of conditioning and individual drill work. Look, soft tissue injuries are notorious in this league. They are literally a ticking time bomb inside a player's leg. You feel great, you feel 100%, you accelerate to top speed, and then instantly, pop. Just a minor tweak and you are sent all the way back to week 1 of the rehab process. It's agonizing. And to truly understand why this specific news is setting off deafening alarm bells inside Hallis Hall right now, we have to pull back and look at the history here. Because this tension, it's completely justified by a haunting and, frankly, escalating pattern. Just look at the timeline. 3 games missed his rookie year. Okay, standard rookie bumps and bruises. But then, 4 games missed in 2023, 2 games in 2024, and then the absolute worst-case scenario, a devastating 14-game absence in the 2025 season. We're talking groins, hamstrings, calves, the whole lower body chain. Last year, it was a preseason groin injury that just wouldn't go away. It lingered right into the regular season. He aggravated it, went on injured reserve for 6 brutal weeks, and then, get this, it immediately flared up again the second he returned to play the Eagles. Look, this isn't just a bruised shoulder you can shoot up with painkillers and grit your teeth through. Soft tissue dictates your suddenness. It dictates your change of direction, your burst, literally everything required to play defensive back at a professional level. When you look at a timeline that peaks at 14 missed games for your premier, highest-paid defensive asset, you start to realize this is no longer just a string of bad luck. It's a systemic crisis for the franchise. And the immediate impact of that 14-game absence last year, it was palpable. You could feel it on every single down.
Just contrast the dominant, suffocating unit we see when Kyler Gordon is actually healthy and flying around against the desperate, frankly struggling efforts of the depth pieces trying to fill his shoes. When he went down, the team had to rely on guys like Nick McLeod and veteran C.J. Gardner-Johnson to step up into that incredibly complex, crucial nickel role. And hey, credit where credit is due. Both men gave commendable efforts. They fought hard. But guys, commendable does not win you a Super Bowl. Both players visibly struggled to play up to that elite, unmatched level that Gordon provides. And the drop-off in production, it wasn't just a minor blip on the radar. It was a glaring, flashing red vulnerability that opposing offensive coordinators ruthlessly exploited. I mean, they were licking their chops. They schemed specifically to attack that exact spot. They'd motion their absolute best receivers directly into the slot just to isolate those backups in open space, and they would dissect the middle of the Bears' defense with absolute surgical precision. It was brutal to watch. But then, right when it looks like history is doomed to repeat itself, the tension breaks. The plot twist arrives. Because this is exactly where the narrative completely shifts from a tragedy into an absolute masterclass in roster preparation. The front office, led by General Manager Ryan Poles, they saw this coming. They anticipated this exact nightmare scenario playing out again. They looked in the mirror and knew, for a fact, they could not enter another season held hostage by the medical tent. So instead of just crossing their fingers, closing their eyes, and hoping Gordon's soft tissue issues would just miraculously disappear overnight, they executed a highly tactical, highly calculated counterstrike. They didn't just tweak the edges, they completely overhauled their entire approach to the secondary. They scoured the free agent market, they evaluated every inch of the draft, and they systematically went to work removing that single point of failure that completely doomed their defense a year prior. And so, introduce the cavalry, the tactical strike force. Dylan Thieneman, Malik Muhammad, Cam Lewis, Kobe Bryant. Now let me be very clear here. This is not just a random list of traditional single-position backups who are totally fine just passively holding clipboards on the sideline waiting for an injury. No way. This is a completely revamped, hand-picked wave of defensive backs acquired specifically for one reason: their extreme scheme-saving versatility. The Bears brass put an absolute premium on identifying players who are capable of shifting across the entire defensive backfield at a moment's notice. It's essentially positionless football. They built this highly adaptable defensive matrix that is perfectly designed to absorb the shock of an injury and just seamlessly adapt on the fly, ensuring the core structure never collapses again. If one piece goes down in the first quarter, another guy simply rotates into place, and they maintain the absolute integrity of the coverage. It is a beautiful thing to see unfold. And what really makes this strike force so incredibly dangerous to opposing offenses is their mindset. Take first-round safety Dylan Thieneman, for example. Now, he is set to be a starter at one of the safety positions, but during rookie minicamp, the Bears deliberately had him running all of the defensive back spots, every single one. Look at his pedigree. At Purdue, he was playing the deep post, acting as the center fielder. At Oregon, he was rolling all the way down into the box, rotating in cover threes, playing half and quarters coverage. He's done it all. And he deliberately spent his offseason cross-training at the nickel position because he knows in this defense, he must master everything on the back end. We're talking about a premium first-round talent who is totally willing to be a Swiss Army knife, multi-tool weapon for this unit. Look at his own words here. He said he got really comfortable playing a lot of different coverages in different positions. He's adapting his frame to physically match up with massive tight ends in the box or turn and run with those twitchy, shifty slot receivers across the middle. He's a true chameleon.
And the crazy part is, that kind of extreme versatility translates directly into just dominant elite metrics. Look at this number, 57.8. I really want you to take a second and let that specific number sink in. 57.8. That is the microscopic passer rating allowed by rookie cornerback Malik Muhammad during his 2025 college season. To put that into perspective for you, if a quarterback literally took the snap and just threw the ball directly into the dirt on every single play, their passer rating would be 39.6. So passing against Muhammad is mathematically barely better than deliberately throwing the ball out of bounds. It's insane. He was drafted in the 4th round out of Texas, and he is an absolute athletic freak. He has the pure speed to aggressively break on routes and shoot downhill like a missile. He is fiercely on the running for the starting outside cornerback spot right now. But get this, the Bears didn't even stop there. They immediately, from day one, began cross-training him inside at the nickel during minicamp. He already logged in 194 snaps in the box or the slot during his college career, and this coaching staff is pushing him hard to radically expand that footprint in the pros.
So you might be wondering, why on earth do they trust a rookie with that kind of massive, complex responsibility right out of the gate? Well, it's because Muhammad possesses this sheer, almost supernatural elite football IQ. His position coach, Cannon Matthews, actually revealed exactly what happens when they get this kid in the film room. He said it wasn't just him talking about the corner. It was him detailing all 11 positions on defense.
Think about what that actually means. He doesn't just memorize his own assignment and put blinders on. He processes the entire chessboard. Before the ball is even snapped by the center, he already knows exactly where his safety help is. He fully understands the intricate route concepts that are going to develop based entirely on the offensive formation, and he literally sees the game through the eyes of a veteran defensive coordinator. That kind of towering, rare intelligence is exactly what allows him to seamlessly slide inside to the slot, a position that requires incredibly rapid, complex communication. The nickel has to call out pre-snap motion, adjust the entire coverage shell, and set the strength of the secondary in real time, all while a 250-pound tight end is bearing down on him. Mohamed can do that. Now, if the rookies are the future of this defense, then veteran Cam Lewis is the ultimate battle-tested insurance policy. The Bears grabbed him as a free agent acquisition from the Buffalo Bills, and his entire 7-year career is defined by extreme, almost absurd flexibility. Just look at this data. 493 career snaps in the slot, 394 snaps down in the box, 330 snaps playing deep at free safety, and 131 snaps lined up on the boundary at outside corner. Like I said earlier, he is the literal definition of a Swiss Army knife. Coming into the league as an undrafted free agent, Lewis knew that extreme cross-training was literally his only path to surviving the brutal, ruthless cutdowns in the NFL. So what did he do? He mastered every single alignment. He made himself completely and utterly indispensable to a defensive coordinator. When you have a guy on your roster who can step into 4 entirely different roles on a Sunday afternoon without missing a single beat or blowing a coverage, you free up massive amounts of precious roster space for other positional groups. It's a huge competitive advantage. And he doesn't just play multiple spots. He plays them with this gritty, absolute intensity that literally changes the temperature of a room when he walks in. As he puts it himself, and I absolutely love this quote, "I'm not afraid to throw these 193 pounds in the mix." Listen, Cam Lewis isn't just some finesse coverage guy who relies solely on smooth back pedals and hip fluidity. No, he plays like a dime linebacker. He confidently steps right down into the box, putting his hand in the dirt near the defensive line. He attacks the ball in the air with violence, and he comes downhill fast to lay punishing physical hits on running backs who outweigh him by 40 pounds. He honestly doesn't care if you line him up at safety, nickel, dime, whatever. He just wants to be around the football and inflict his will on the opposing offense. He is a phenomenal, incredibly economical signing that drastically bolsters the physical edge and the attitude of this entire depth chart. And if you think the safety net stops there, let's go ahead and add one more massive layer to this front office masterstroke: 740. That is the staggering number of snaps that free agent acquisition Kobe Bryant already logged specifically as a slot corner during his first 2 years up in Seattle. Currently, he is penciled in as a starting safety for the Bears. But if the absolute worst-case scenario unfolds, say the injury bug bites hard, the depth chart is completely decimated midseason, the Bears can effortlessly slide a starting caliber safety right back into his native slot position. And let me tell you, this is not an easy transition for most guys in this league. Moving from a deep half safety to the slot, that means shifting from reading the quarterback's eyes from 15 yards deep to suddenly playing aggressive man-to-man coverage and phone booth spacing directly at the line of scrimmage with zero reaction time. But Bryant, he has the exact biomechanics and the proven, on-tape resume to do it seamlessly. The sheer volume of secondary contingencies the front office has layered into this roster is truly staggering. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture of what we're actually talking about here. What we are analyzing in this explainer isn't just about a team trying to survive a few missed practices in May OTAs. It's not just about one lingering soft tissue injury or the fate of a single player. What we are looking at is the absolute definition of championship-level roster construction. Ryan Poles and the Bears identified a critical flaw, a glaring single point of failure that completely ruined their defensive integrity last season, and they engineered a bulletproof blueprint to ensure it never happens again. They built a defensive backfield that doesn't just try to survive attrition, it absorbs it. It swallows it whole and continues to operate at an elite, suffocating level regardless of who is out there. It's all about insulating your superstar, game-changing talent with a phalanx of hyper-versatile, hyper-intelligent football players who can plug any leak before the ship ever takes on water. Which really leaves us with this striking final thought to consider as we wrap up. Did a devastating, season-derailing weakness just become the most resilient, ironclad secondary in the entire National Football League? Have the Chicago Bears finally outsmarted their own infamous injury curse by building a roster so incredibly deep, so profoundly versatile, and so high IQ that the loss of their most athletic piece won't even break their stride come September? I'll tell you what, it is a terrifying prospect for opposing quarterbacks to think about, and it's a brilliant master plan unfolding right before our eyes. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Remember to hit that subscribe button for NFL Nexus, leave a like on this explainer, drop your thoughts in the comments below because I want to hear what you guys think, and become a channel member today to support what we do. Until next time, keep your eyes on the data.